Spokesperson Neil Hamilton.
I've been looking at the Minister's list of responsibilities, and they include, amongst many other things, strategic direction and management of Welsh Government resources, strategic investment, financial accounting and audit, and value for money and effectiveness. The Audit Office has recently published a report called Welsh Government Financial Support for Business, and I'd like to ask a few questions arising out of that. The principal criticism that the Auditor-General had in that report was that the Welsh Government didn't fully translate its vision for economic renewal into a coordinated programme of financial support to businesses, and that the government monitored individual projects separately but hadn't managed financial support to businesses as a programme. We've seen a number of fiascos which are listed in the report, including the well-known one of Griffin Place Communications, a £600,000 set-up grant for 127 jobs, which was all lost. Oyster World, a computer game developer, which had £1.5 million altogether. Mainport Engineering, a fabrication engineering company, and Cancoat, of course, another well-known case, a metal coil coating production line. These are very, very diverse grants and loans which have been given. I wonder if the Minister can tell me what steps she's taken and what discussions she might have had in government since that report was published a few months ago to ensure that any future support for businesses by Welsh Government isn't a piecemeal ragbag of grants, but a coordinated programme with clear vision and proper control.
Well, I would disagree with the characterisation of the way in which Welsh Government provides support for business, but this is an area which I've taken an interest in since coming into portfolio, and I'm exploring what more we might do in order to satisfy ourselves that when grants are being made, and indeed when business loans are being made, that we can be sure that we're investing in the right company, taking the right level of risk with those companies. So one thing that we could potentially be looking to ensure is that we have named officials dealing with specific projects who ministers can meet with regularly in order to oversee those loans. I do have to say that there is a huge structure of auditing already in place within Welsh Government in terms of ensuring the correct and good investment of the money which we invest.
I'm not entirely satisfied by that we're making any great deal of progress as yet from that answer, regarded as work in progress. But the Auditor-General's recommendations concerning Welsh Government risk management are also important, because he says that the Welsh Government sectors and business team only assesses risk for individual projects in isolation and doesn't have a defined risk appetite across its programme for providing financial support to businesses. So, I mean, that's a broad point about the whole structure of the theoretical basis on which the Welsh Government's financial support for business is based. Now, I've looked through the Assembly's record of proceedings and Welsh Government website, and there's very little there to confirm what the approach is to risk management and risk appetite. So, what exactly is the Minister doing within Welsh Government to ensure that there is a clear and robust approach to Welsh Government financial support? Because we're dealing with significant sums of money here, which, of course, if they're put at risk, means we can't spend them on other worthwhile things.
Thank you. So when Welsh Government does make an investment or offer a grant or a loan over a certain amount of money, then I oversee and I have a view to take on each and every one of those decisions which are made by my colleagues. And I provide challenge to my colleagues, asking about affordability, about payment profiles, about value for money and efficient spending, and exploring to what extent those funding decisions that are made, or those grant decisions which are made, represent value in terms of in terms of being in line with our overarching Welsh Government priorities as found in our programme for government. So there's certainly a level of personal interest that I take in this, but clearly individual funding decisions taken by individual ministers have to be done within the context of their own budgetary management as well.
I recognise this is a subject in which the Minister has taken a considerable interest, and I do find that reassuring. But I think we're still a long way from being reassured that this is going to produce any practical results. The Auditor-General also said in this report that the Welsh Government hasn't put in place systems and processes to produce information for publicly reporting on whether its overall financial support for business has contributed to achieving its intended outcomes. In other words, a progress report on how successful the project has been altogether. Much of the information which has been extracted, in some cases, had to be extracted not from the Welsh Government's own proactive publication of information, but had to be extracted by journalists and opposition political parties in FOI requests. For example, the online food ordering service Cooked, KUKD.com, had £1 million, failed to create the promised 100 jobs, and Bad Wolf, a well-known case, of course, £4 million executives paid themselves, £4 million given to the company, out of which nearly half was paid to the executives themselves. The company ultimately showed a loss of £3.1 million. So these are cases where the taxpayer is being fleeced for no advantage whatsoever. And in such cases, surely it's vitally important, in order to secure public confidence in the way that public money is being sent, for the Welsh Government to be as upfront and open as possible. And so can she assure me that, as regards value for money and effectiveness, the public reporting of business grant monies is going to be improved in future?
Thank you for raising that, and I'll certainly give further thought to what action might be able to be taken in terms of increasing transparency, yes, but within the confines, obviously, of the commercial sensitivities for those businesses involved, and also within the context of the Auditor General's report.